Ava Quinn slammed her palm against the cafe table so hard the coffee cups jumped. "Stop looking at me like that, I know what you're thinking. Poor broken girl in a wheelchair, right? Well, you can leave right now. I don't need your pity, I don't need your charity, and I sure as hell don't need another man who'll pretend for 3 dates and then disappear." Every head in the steamy bean turned. Evan didn't move, didn't breathe. Because what she didn't know, what nobody knew, was that he'd buried his wife 5 years ago, and this was the first date he'd agreed to since. And before the night was over, Ava would ask him one single question that would break him wide open. If you're watching from somewhere in America right now, drop your city in the comments, so I know how far this story has traveled, and hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss where this one ends. Evan Carter sat in his pickup truck in the parking lot of the Steamy Bean coffee shop in Boulder, Colorado, with both hands gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles had gone white. The engine was off, the keys were still in the ignition, and for the last 11 minutes he had been trying to convince himself to open the door. He looked down at his phone. 6:47 p.m. The date was at 7. "You can do this," he muttered to himself. "It's just coffee. It's just 1 cup of coffee and then you go home." His phone buzzed. It was Lauren, his younger sister. "Are you there yet? Please tell me you're there. Please tell me you didn't chicken out and drive to a hardware store instead." Evan let out a short laugh, the first real laugh he'd had all day. His sister knew him too well. The last time she'd set him up 2 years ago, he had in fact driven to a Home Depot and wandered the lumber aisle for 40 minutes before going home and texting the poor woman that he had food poisoning. He typed back, "I'm here, in the parking lot." "Get out of the truck, Evan. I'm working on it. She's amazing, I promise you. Just go be a human being for 1 hour. That's all I'm asking." Evan stared at the text. Just go be a human being for 1 hour. That was the thing, wasn't it? Somewhere along the way over the last 5 years, he had stopped being a human being and started being a function. He was Emma's dad. He was senior software engineer at the firm. He was the guy who dropped his daughter off at school at 7:30 and picked her up at 5:15 and cooked spaghetti on Tuesdays and chicken nuggets on Fridays. He was a schedule. He was a shadow that moved through a house that used to belong to a family. He was not a man who went on dates, but Lauren had worn him down. 3 months of hints, 2 months of direct pressure, and finally last weekend over Sunday dinner at her house with his niece sitting on his lap and his daughter Emma eating ice cream off his plate. Lauren had leaned across the table and said, "Evan, Sarah has been gone for 5 years. Emma is 8 years old. She's never seen you happy. Not really. Not the way you used to be. And I love you too much to keep watching you disappear." And he had agreed. Not because he wanted to, but because his 8-year-old daughter had looked up from her ice cream and said, "Daddy, is Aunt Lauren trying to find you a girlfriend?" And when he had said, "Something like that, sweetheart," Emma had said, "Good. Just that. Just good." So here he was. Parking lot, 6:49 p.m. Evan took a long breath, pulled the keys from the ignition and opened the door. The October air in Boulder hit him like a slap. He pulled his jacket tighter, crossed the lot, and pushed through the door of the Steamy Bean. A little bell jingled overhead. The cafe was warm and smelled like cinnamon and coffee beans. Maybe a dozen people scattered among the tables reading, typing on laptops, talking quietly. A woman behind the counter smiled at him. "Pick a table, hon. I'll bring you a menu." He chose a booth near the back against the window where he could see the front door. He sat down. He put his phone face down on the table. He picked it up. He put it down again. "Get it together," he whispered. Lauren had told him the woman's name was Ava Quinn. She had said Ava was 32, brilliant, beautiful, owned her own company, and this was the part Lauren had mentioned almost in passing, the way you might mention that someone had a nut allergy. Ava used a wheelchair. She had an accident a few years back, Lauren had said. "But Evan, I need you to hear me. She is not her wheelchair. Okay, please. Please do not walk in there and treat her like she's fragile. She will eat you alive." Evan had nodded because what else do you do? But now, sitting in this booth, he realized he had no idea what he was supposed to do. Did he stand when she came in? Did he sit? Did he offer to help her with the door? Did she want him to? Was it insulting to offer? Was it rude not to? His palms were sweating. At 6:58 p.m., the bell above the door jingled. Evan looked up. And there she was. Ava Quinn rolled into the cafe in a sleek black wheelchair, moving with the easy confidence of somebody who had done this 10,000 times. She had long auburn hair pulled back into a low ponytail, sharp green eyes, and she was wearing a cream-colored sweater and dark jeans. She was, Evan thought, in one stunned heartbeat, one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen. She scanned the room. Her eyes found him. And something changed in her face. He couldn't name it at first. It wasn't a smile. It wasn't surprise in the good way. It was a kind of tightening, a pulling back like a door closing somewhere behind her eyes. She rolled toward the booth anyway. Evan stood up. He didn't know why. It just felt like the thing to do. "Hi," he said. "You must be Ava. I'm Evan." "I know who you are," she said. Her voice was low and steady, but there was something brittle underneath it. She positioned her chair at the end of the table parallel to the booth. Evan sat back down slowly. "Lauren showed you a picture?" he asked. "She showed me 3, Ava said, "and a LinkedIn profile, and your bio on the company website." "Oh, that's thorough. I'm a thorough person." The waitress came over with menus. "Can I start y'all off with anything?" "Coffee black?" Ava said, without looking at the menu. "Same," Evan said. "Thank you." The waitress left, and then it was just the two of them, and a silence so loud Evan could hear his own heartbeat. Ava was staring down at the table. Her hands were folded in her lap. She hadn't taken off her coat. "So," Evan said, trying for a smile, "Lauren talks about you like you walk on water." The word hung in the air between them. Evan felt his stomach drop straight through the floor. I just meant, it's fine." "No, I didn't. That was a figure of speech. I wasn't." "Evan, it's fine. I use the expression too. It's not a landmine. You don't have to apologize for the English language." But her voice had gone even tighter. She still hadn't looked at him. The waitress brought the coffees. Evan wrapped his hands around the warm mug just to have something to do with them. "Lauren said you own your own company." He tried again. "What kind of company?" Ava finally looked up. Her green eyes met his, and there was something in them he couldn't read. Exhaustion, maybe. Or the opposite of exhaustion, something sharp. "I run an accessibility tech firm," she said. "We design software and hardware that makes workplaces usable for people with disabilities. 38 employees, $5 million in revenue last year. Series B funding closed in March. Is that what you wanted to know?" Yes, that's impressive." "Is it?" What?" She tilted her head. "Is it impressive? Or is it just impressive considering?" Evan opened his mouth, closed it. "Considering what?" he said. "You know what?" "I really don't." "Considering," Ava said, and her voice was very calm, now very level, the way somebody's voice gets right before they say something they're not going to take back, "that I'm in a wheelchair. That's what I'm supposed to have been considering. That's the whole subtext of every compliment I've received for the last 4 years. Wow, you built a company that's amazing considering. Wow, you're beautiful considering. Wow, you showed up for coffee tonight considering. Ava, let me save us both some time." She looked him dead in the eye. Her hand was shaking just slightly where it rested on the edge of the table. "I'm going to make this really simple for you. I know Lauren is your sister. I know she means well. She's a good woman. I like her a lot. But I also know that she didn't tell you the full picture of me until you'd already said yes, because that's what she always does. And I know that right now, you are sitting there running through an internal checklist of how to get out of this with your dignity intact. That's not, so I'm going to give you the out. Okay? You get to be the good guy. You get to walk out of here and say, it wasn't a good fit. And Lauren will be sad, and she'll tell you you did the right thing for trying, and everybody moves on. I'll even text her first so she thinks it was my call. You don't even have to feel bad. Deal?" Evan stared at her. "No," he said. Ava blinked. "No. No. I'm not taking that deal." "Excuse me. I said no." He set his coffee down. "I don't want out. I just got here." Her jaw tightened. "Don't do this." "Do what?" "Don't play the hero. Don't sit there and pretend you didn't have a reaction when I rolled through that door. I saw your face. I have seen that face on 100 men, Evan. I am a PhD in that face. So don't, please, just don't." "You're right," he said quietly. She froze. "What?" "You're right, I had the reaction. Of course I had a reaction. I walked in here tonight with absolutely no idea what I was doing. And I sat down in this booth and I have been panicking for the last 20 minutes about how to be a decent human being to a woman I've never met. And then you walked in and you're beautiful and you're confident and you looked at me like you already knew I was going to disappoint you and I—" His voice cracked. He stopped. Took a breath. "I haven't been on a date in 5 years, Ava. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the rules anymore. Maybe I never did. The last woman I had coffee with across a table was my wife, and she's been dead for 5 years, and I have an 8-year-old daughter at home who is staying with my sister tonight, specifically because I promised I would come here and try. So no, I'm not taking the out. Because if I walk out of here, I don't just have to tell Lauren I bailed. I have to go home and tell Emma, and I'm not doing that." The cafe had gone very quiet around them. Or maybe it hadn't. Maybe it was only quiet inside Evan's head. Ava was staring at him. Her mouth had opened slightly. Her hand, the one on the edge of the table, had stopped shaking. "Your wife," she said. 5 years ago. Cancer. It was fast." "Evan." I wasn't going to lead with that, obviously. Nobody leads with that. But you asked me to be honest, and I'm being honest. Her eyes had gone glassy. She pressed her lips together hard and looked away out the window. "That wasn't fair of me," she said after a long moment. "What wasn't?" "Assuming I knew what you were thinking. You were protecting yourself. That's not an excuse." "It kind of is." She gave a short wet laugh and wiped her eye with the back of her hand. "God, I told myself I wasn't going to do this. I told myself, Ava, you are going to be charming and cool, and you are going to have one coffee with this man, and you are going to prove to your therapist that you can still be a person. How's that going?" "Shut up." But she was almost smiling. Evan picked up his coffee. His hands were steadier now. Can we maybe try again? Like from the top. Hi, I'm Evan. I'm 35. I have a daughter named Emma. I'm a software engineer. I like bad science fiction movies, and I can't cook anything that isn't pasta." Ava looked at him for a long moment. Then she took a slow breath. "Hi," she said. "I'm Ava. I'm 32. I run a tech company. I was a competitive skier in my 20s. And 4 years ago, a drunk driver hit my car on the I-70, and I woke up in a hospital, and I couldn't feel my legs, and I haven't been able to feel them since." Evan didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He just nodded slowly. "Thank you for telling me," he said. "I don't usually, not that fast." "I know." "You don't know?" "Okay, I don't know, but I'm grateful anyway." She let out a shaky breath and finally picked up her coffee. She took a sip. Her shoulders dropped about half an inch. "What's Emma like?" she asked. "Oh, she's a menace. She's the best person I've ever met. She's 8 going on 45, she reads 2 levels above grade. She cries at commercials about dogs, and last week she informed me that I am lonely in a way that even Netflix can't fix, quote unquote." Ava snorted. Actually snorted coffee almost coming out of her nose snorted. "An 8-year-old said that to you?" "Verbatim. I think my sister has been coaching her." "I love her already." "You'd get along. She's braver than I am." "That's not a high bar, apparently." "Hey." I'm kidding. She was smiling now. A real one. It changed her whole face. They sat there for a minute, just drinking their coffee. Outside the window, the sun had dropped behind the mountains, and the sky over Boulder was turning that particular shade of October pink that makes you forget winter is coming. "Can I tell you something embarrassing?" Ava said. "Please." "When I rolled in here and I saw you sitting in that booth, and you stood up. I didn't know if I was supposed to stand up. You weren't, but that's not the point. When you stood up and you looked at me, I felt this whole wave of, I've been here before. I've done this before. I've sat across from a man who is trying really hard to pretend he's not uncomfortable, and I know how this ends. I've had 3 relationships since the accident. 3. And every single one of them ended the same way. I just don't think I can do this. It's not you, it's the situation." One of them actually said, and I quote, "I feel like I'm dating my sister's charity." Jesus. Yeah. So when I came in tonight and I saw you, I decided to get out ahead of it. I decided I was going to be the one to end it this time. Before you could. Ava. I know. You were going to dump me before I even ordered. I know. That's diabolical. It's efficient. It's diabolical and efficient. She laughed again, and then her face shifted, something softer coming into it, something careful. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Yeah, and I need you to be honest with me. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm not testing you. I genuinely want to know the answer, and I will believe whatever you tell me. Okay." Evan felt his stomach tighten. Okay. Ava set her coffee down. She folded her hands in her lap. She looked him straight in the eye. And she asked the question that had been sitting at the bottom of her chest for 4 years. The question she had asked 3 different men and gotten 3 different kinds of lies in return. The question she had told herself tonight she was never going to ask anyone again. "Do you still want to date me?" Evan didn't answer right away. He didn't answer right away because he understood in that moment that whatever he said next was going to matter. Not for tonight, not for this coffee, for something bigger than that. For whatever was sitting in the space between them, small and trembling and not yet named. He thought about his wife. He thought about Emma curled up on Lauren's couch with a bowl of popcorn waiting for her dad to come home. He thought about the 5 years he had spent pretending he was fine, pretending he wasn't lonely, pretending the house wasn't quiet. He thought about the woman sitting across from him who had come in ready to burn the whole evening down just to beat him to the punch. And he thought very clearly, I do not want to leave this table. He opened his mouth to answer her, and his phone face down on the table between them started to ring. The phone kept ringing. Evan stared at it like it was a live grenade. "You should get that," Ava said. "No, it can wait." "Evan, your phone is ringing on a first date. Either you answer it or you turn it off. Those are the only 2 options that don't make me think you're avoiding my question." He flipped it over. The screen said, Emma. Evan let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. "It's my daughter." "Then answer it." "Ava, Answer the phone, Evan." He swiped. "Hey, Bug. Is everything okay?" A small, bright voice came through the speaker loud enough that Ava could hear every word. "Daddy, are you still on your date?" "Yeah, baby, I'm still on my date. Is Aunt Lauren with you?" "She's making popcorn. I stole her phone. Is she pretty?" "Emma, is she nice?" "Did you tell her about me? Did you tell her I can do cursive now?" "Daddy, did you remember to tell her about the cursive?" Evan closed his eyes. Across the table, Ava had one hand pressed over her mouth, and her shoulders were shaking, but she wasn't crying. She was trying very, very hard not to laugh out loud. "Emma, sweetheart, I'm going to have to call you back. But Daddy..." "Emma, go find Aunt Lauren. I love you. I'll see you in the morning." "Daddy, wait, one more thing." "What, Bug?" The small voice dropped into a serious whisper. "Don't be weird, okay?" And then she hung up. Evan set the phone down very slowly. He did not look up at Ava for a long moment because he knew the second he did, they were both going to lose it. When he finally raised his eyes, Ava's face was a kind of contained, hysterical calm. "Don't," he said. "I didn't say anything." You're saying it with your face. I have a very neutral face. Ava, I swear to God. And then they both broke at the same time. Ava's laugh came out in a single sharp burst and then she was gone, laughing so hard she had to take off her glasses. She'd put them on sometime during the conversation he hadn't even noticed and wipe her eyes. Evan put his head in his hands and laughed into his palms. Don't be weird, Ava wheezed. Evan, your 8-year-old daughter just coached you through a first date, from a stolen phone, while your sister makes popcorn. I know. That is the funniest thing I have heard in a calendar year. She has a lot of opinions. I gathered that. They sat there for a minute, just breathing the laughter tapering off into something warmer and quieter. The waitress came by and refilled their coffees without asking. Ava thanked her, and Evan realized she was still here, still at the table, still not leaving. His question was still hanging between them, but the air around it had changed. The laugh had let some of the pressure out. Ava cleared her throat. So, you were about to answer me. I was. You don't have to if... Yes, the answer is yes. She stilled. I still want to date you. I don't mean tonight only. I mean I'd like to see you again. I'd like to take you to dinner next week if you'll let me. I'd like to find out what kind of music you listen to and what you were like in college and whether you're actually as smart as Lauren says you are, or just slightly less smart but intimidating. I'm smarter than Lauren says. I figured. Evan, I know this is the part where I'm supposed to sound more uncertain, where I'm supposed to hedge so you can't catch me in anything later, but I'm not going to. You asked me a straight question and you deserve a straight answer, and the answer is yes. I want to date you, whatever that ends up meaning. Ava looked down at her coffee. Her hands were trembling again, but differently this time. Not the tight, angry shake of before. Something smaller. You don't know me yet, she said. No, I could be terrible. I could be a nightmare person. Probably. I might be too. I am not an easy person, Evan. I didn't think you were. I have a lot of bad days. I have days where I don't want to be touched. I have days where I can't stop crying, and I don't even know why. I have days where I hate every mirror in my apartment. I have a physical therapist named Marco, who I see twice a week, and sometimes I come out of those sessions, and I cannot be a person for about 6 hours. I am telling you this because if you think you're signing up for a wheelchair-shaped accessory on your arm, you are going to be extremely disappointed. And I would rather you be disappointed now at this table than 4 months from now at my door. Evan nodded slowly. Okay, he said. Okay what? Okay, I heard you. Can I tell you my version of that same speech? Please, I'm a single father. Emma comes first. She is going to come first for the next 10 years minimum, and depending on how much therapy she ends up needing, because of what happened to her mother, maybe for the next 20. I am not a spontaneous person. I do not do weekend getaways. I have had exactly one vacation in the last 5 years, and it was to Orlando because Emma wanted to see a castle. I have cried in my truck in at least 14 different parking lots in the last 2 years, including a Sonic drive-in, and I could not tell you what any of them were about. I still keep my wife's toothbrush in the drawer under the bathroom sink because every time I try to throw it out, I can't. I am telling you this because if you think you're signing up for a nice emotionally available software engineer with a cute kid, you are going to be extremely disappointed, and I would rather you be disappointed now at this table than 4 months from now at my door. Ava was quiet for a long time. Sonic drive-in, she said finally. It was a hard week. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. No, you're not. I'm not laughing. Evan. Yeah. We are two very broken people. I'm aware. This is possibly a terrible idea. Also aware. She smiled then, not the polite smile from earlier, not even the laughing smile from the phone call, a different one. A slower one that started in the corner of her mouth and moved up into her eyes like a sunrise. Are you hungry? She said. Starving. Do they do food here or just coffee? I think they do sandwiches. Let's get sandwiches. And I want you to tell me something stupid about yourself, something embarrassing. I already told you I'm scared of my own mirror. You owe me one. Evan flagged the waitress down. She took their orders turkey club for him, grilled cheese and tomato soup for her, and disappeared again. Something embarrassing, he repeated. Something real. Okay, I cry at car commercials. Car commercials. The ones where like the dad is teaching the daughter to drive, or the grandpa gives his old Chevy to the grandson. Not all car commercials, just those ones. I see one of those come on and I am just immediately a mess. That is so specific. It's a problem. Does Emma know? Emma knows everything. Emma knows more about me than I know about me. Emma is the one who first pointed it out. She was like 5 years old, and a commercial came on, and she looked at me with popcorn in her mouth and went, "Daddy, why are your eyes watering at the Subaru?" Ava laughed hard for the second time in 10 minutes. I cannot wait to meet this child. The sentence landed before either of them had time to think about what it meant. Ava caught it half a beat too late. Her face colored. I didn't mean I wasn't implying. I know. I'm not trying to meet your daughter on the first date. I know, Ava. It came out. It's okay, really. It was nice. She looked down at the table. She was blushing, and it was the first time all evening she had looked genuinely like a nervous woman on a first date instead of a CEO in armor. Your turn, Evan said, gently redirecting. Something embarrassing. Ava took a long sip of coffee. Okay, she said. When I was 17, I made the junior national team for skiing, giant slalom. I was very good. Top 3 in the country in my age group. I had an Olympic coach. I had sponsors. There was a point for about 18 months where people were pretty sure I was going to Beijing in 2022. Wow. Wait, it's embarrassing. Let me get to the embarrassing part. Sorry. The embarrassing part is that when I was 18, I got scouted by a boy. Not by a coach. By a boy. A 19-year-old snowboarder with bleached hair and a nose piercing. And he told me that the real athletes don't go to the Olympics because it's corporate and sold out, and the real athletes go do freestyle stuff in the backcountry, and Evan. I quit the national team, at 18, for a 19-year-old snowboarder named Dakota. Please tell me his name was Dakota. His name was Dakota. Ava. I was young, and he was very good-looking, and he had a van. He had a van. He had a van with a bed in it, Evan. That is a powerful thing when you are 18. What happened? He broke up with me 6 months later for a yoga instructor in Jackson Hole. Oh no. Yeah. And by the time I got my head on straight and tried to get back on the national team, the window had closed. I ended up skiing competitively for another 4 years, just not at that level. Never made it back. And then the accident happened. And well. She gestured vaguely at the chair. Here we are. Evan sat with that for a moment. Do you still ski? He asked carefully. Yes. Monoski. It's a seated thing. I'm actually pretty good at it. Not Olympic good, but good. I'd like to see that. Yeah. Most men, when I tell them I ski, they look at me like I just told them I'm a werewolf. I'm not most men? I'm starting to notice. The sandwiches arrived. Ava ate her grilled cheese in small, neat bites. Evan tore into his turkey club like he hadn't eaten in a week, which was roughly accurate. He realized halfway through that he hadn't had a real appetite in a long time. Can I ask you something? Ava said halfway through her soup. Yeah. You said your wife cancer. You said it was fast. 7 weeks. 7 weeks. From diagnosis to funeral. Yeah. Ava set her spoon down. Evan? I know. I don't know what to say to that. Nobody does. That's the thing. That's what I learned. The thing that I used to be mad about when it first happened. Everybody showed up for the funeral and said, I'm so sorry for your loss. And then they all disappeared. And I used to be furious about it. Like, where are all of you? But then I realized they didn't disappear because they didn't care. They disappeared because they didn't know what to say next. And I didn't either. And Emma was 3. And the house was full of her toys, and her clothes, and the things she was supposed to wear in the fall, because she'd bought them in July, and then she didn't make it to the fall. He stopped, took a drink of water. Sorry, he said. I haven't talked about that out loud in a long time. Don't apologize. Lauren tries. She tries to get me to talk about it. I can't with her. She was there. She saw it. It's different with her. And with me, it's not. With you, I just met you. You don't have the before picture in your head. You don't know what I was like before. It's easier. Ava nodded slowly. I get that. I actually get that a lot. Yeah, my family treats me like glass. My mother cannot look at me without her eyes filling up. My father pretends everything is fine, and then disappears into his shop for 6 hours at a stretch. My brother is the only one who still makes fun of me, and I love him for it because everyone else is so careful. With you, I don't have the before picture either. I'm just a woman in a wheelchair. I'm not the girl who used to be on the slopes. It's freeing. Isn't that awful? It's kind of freeing. It's not awful. It feels awful. Sometimes. I know. They ate in silence for a minute. Then Ava looked up. Can I tell you what I was thinking when I rolled in here tonight? Please. I almost didn't come. I figured. I was in my van for 40 minutes. In the parking lot. I had the heater on. I kept telling myself I was going to drive away. And the only reason I didn't is because my therapist. I have this therapist. Her name is Dr. Vance, and she's a terror. She said to me last week, Ava, you have been using your chair as a moat for 3 years. You are drowning in your own moat. Go have coffee with a stranger and let them see you. That's a hell of a line. She's a terror, I told you. Lauren told me you were amazing. That's the word she used. She's wrong. I don't think she is. Evan. Ava. Can I tell you something I've been thinking for the last hour? Yeah. When you rolled in here and I stood up and I said my name and you cut me off before I could finish, I wasn't panicking about your chair. I wasn't panicking about what to do. I was panicking because I thought you were out of my league. And I still think that, by the way. I think you are extraordinarily out of my league, and I think I am going to be figuring out how you ended up sitting across from me for the next several weeks, and I think I'm going to be annoyed at my sister for weeks about how right she was. Ava's eyes had gone glassy again. She pressed the heel of her hand against one of them. You're making me cry in public again, Evan. Sorry. Don't apologize. It's different crying. Okay. It's good crying. Okay. She reached across the table slowly, and she put her hand on top of his. Her fingers were cool from the coffee mug. Her hand was small and strong, and it rested there tentative, not pressing. Evan didn't move. He didn't want to scare her off. He just turned his hand over slowly and laced his fingers through hers. Is this okay? He said. Yes. Ava. Yeah. I need to tell you one more thing, and then I'll stop making it heavy, I promise. Okay, I meant what I said, about wanting to date you. I know you've been hurt before. I know 3 men have said things to you that I wouldn't say to an enemy. I can't promise I'm not going to be another one of those. I'm not going to stand here and promise that, because I think anybody who promises that is lying. But I can tell you that the reason I'm still sitting at this table is not because I feel sorry for you. It is not because I feel obligated. It is not because I'm afraid of disappointing my sister. It is because in the last 45 minutes, you have made me feel more like a human being than I have felt in 5 years, and I am not ready to walk away from that yet. Okay. Ava's hand tightened around his. Okay, she said. The cafe had mostly emptied out. The waitress was wiping down tables at the far end of the room. Somewhere somebody was playing quiet acoustic music on a speaker. Ava had not let go of his hand. Evan? Yeah. Can I ask you one more thing and then I'll stop being heavy too? Ask me anything. She looked at him for a long moment and her green eyes were steady now, not afraid, not armored, just open. What does Emma know about tonight? Evan blinked. What do you mean? I mean, does she know where you are? Does she know you're on a date? Yeah, of course. And how does she feel about it? Evan thought about his daughter curled up on Lauren's couch with popcorn stealing her aunt's phone to call and tell him not to be weird. She's been waiting for this for a long time, he said quietly. Longer than I have. Ava nodded. Her thumb brushed across his knuckles once very softly. Then I think we should order dessert, she said. They ordered a slice of chocolate cake with 2 forks. Ava laughed at herself when she realized she had ordered it without thinking, and Evan told her that his wife used to do the same thing. Order dessert automatically, like it was a reflex, and then Ava went very still, and Evan realized what he had just done. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I shouldn't have. No. Ava, I didn't mean to. Evan, stop, you can talk about her. I know I'd rather you talk about her than pretend she didn't exist. If you sit across from me for the next 6 months and never say her name, I'm going to think you're hiding her from me, and I'm going to hate that. So please, say her name. What was it? Evan swallowed. It was harder than he expected. He had not said his wife's name out loud to another woman romantically in the entire 5 years since the funeral. Sarah, he said. Sarah. Yeah. Tell me one thing about her. Just one. Whatever comes to mind first. She was a terrible driver. Ava laughed, surprised. Really? Unbelievably bad. She once hit a parked car in an empty parking lot. There was no other car in the lot, just hers, and the parked one, and she found a way. Evan. And the worst part was, she refused to admit it was her fault. She said the parked car was, quote, parked aggressively. Parked aggressively. I was married to her for 7 years. I never won that argument. Ava was shaking her head, smiling. I would have liked her. She would have liked you too. She had 0 patience for people who talked around things. She would have watched you rip into me the second you sat down, and she would have said, this one's got teeth, I approve. She sounds like a good woman. She was the best one I knew. The cake arrived. Ava picked up a fork and handed the other one to Evan. Rule, she said. We don't count bites. Whoever gets more gets more. No scorekeeping. Deal. And no saving the last bite for the other person. It's condescending. You have rules about sharing cake. I have rules about everything, Evan. Get used to it. Noted. They ate. The cake was actually pretty good, darker than most, almost bitter with salt flakes on top. Ava closed her eyes after the first bite and made a small, involuntary sound of approval. Evan tried not to look at her face when she did that. He was failing. So, she said after a minute, tell me about Emma's mom. The mom part, not the sick part. I want to know who she was to Emma. That's a nice question. I'm a nice person, occasionally, under duress. Sarah was the parent who did all the soft stuff. She sang to her at night. She made up stories. She had this whole ongoing saga about a character named Princess Banana who lived in a refrigerator. It went on for years. Every night, a new chapter. Princess Banana. In the refrigerator, fighting the evil broccoli lord. Please tell me you continued the saga after she died. Evan's throat closed up for a second. He made himself breathe through it. I tried. Emma was 3. I tried for about 6 months. I wasn't any good at it. Sarah was the one with the imagination. I'm a software engineer, Ava. I was making up chapters like, and then Princess Banana calculated the optimal temperature for her crisper drawer. And Emma would look at me like I'd insulted her personally. Oh, Evan. Eventually, I stopped trying. And Emma stopped asking. And it became this silent thing between us. I always felt like I'd failed her with that. I still do, honestly. You didn't fail her. I feel like I did. You didn't, Evan. You kept her alive and fed and loved. That is the only job. Everything else is extra credit. That's a generous framing. It's the truth. How do you know? Because my brother has 2 kids, and he is barely keeping them alive and fed, and they love him more than anything in the world, and he is doing great." Evan smiled a little. "Your brother, the one who still makes fun of you." "That's the one, Trevor. He's 3 years older. He's a fire captain, which as you can imagine makes him insufferable at family dinners." "Tell me about him." "Trevor was the first one to the hospital after the accident, before my parents got there. He was on shift actually on a different call, and he heard about my wreck over the radio, and he left. He walked off his own scene. His captain wrote him up for it. Trevor told me he'd do it again tomorrow. He was there when I woke up. He was the first face I saw." God. "And the first thing he said to me, I was in a haze. I was on so much medication I didn't even know my own name yet. The first thing he said to me was, 'Hey dummy, you finally found a faster way down the mountain.'" Evan flinched. "He said what?" "He said that. And I know it sounds awful, Evan, but you have to understand. I was terrified. I was about to find out I was paralyzed. Everybody else in the room, the nurses, my parents on the phone, they were all treating me like I was going to break. And Trevor walked in, and he cracked a joke, and I laughed, and I cried, and I laughed again. And that moment saved me. It actually saved me. Because he was the only person in that whole hospital who was treating me like I was still me. That's a good brother. He's the best brother. He's the reason I'm still a person. What does he think about tonight? He thinks I'm going to chew you up and spit you out. Comforting? He's been wrong before." Evan laughed. "I feel like I should be scared to meet him." "Oh, you absolutely should be. He is going to put you through hell, Evan. He is going to ask you things that a human being should not be asked on purpose to watch you squirm. If you get past Trevor, you get past everything. Good to know. My therapist actually calls it the Trevor test. It's a formal stage in my vetting process." "You have vetting stages?" "I have a whole flow chart. I'll show you sometime." "Am I currently in a stage?" "You're in stage 2. "What's stage 1? Stage 1 was the parking lot. Whether you'd still be sitting here after I rolled in? You passed. Low bar. You'd be amazed." Evan put his fork down. "Ava, can I ask you something hard?" "You can ask me anything." "The men. The 3. You don't have to tell me about them. But I want to know something. Was there a worst one? Is there a specific one whose voice you hear when you get scared?" She went very quiet. "Yes," she said. "You don't have to tell me. His name was Michael. We were engaged." Evan's hands went still. "You were engaged? For 8 months. We met in physical therapy, actually. He was there for a knee reconstruction. He was funny and he was kind and he did not seem to care about the chair at all. We moved in together after a year. He proposed on my 29th birthday. He gave me the ring at a restaurant with my whole family there, and my mother cried and Trevor cried and I cried, and I thought, okay. Here it is. I made it through. I got to the other side. I'm going to have the life I thought I'd lost. Ava." We were 6 weeks out from the wedding. 6 weeks. The dress was bought. The venue was paid for. My father had walked me through the reception floor to check wheelchair access with a literal measuring tape. And Michael. Michael came home one night and sat on the couch and he said, "I can't do this, Ava. I thought I could and I can't. I'm sorry. I love you. But I can't be a caretaker." Caretaker. That was the word he used. "Ava, you don't need a caretaker." "I know that. You run a company." "I know, Evan. I'm sorry. I'm not questioning you. I'm angry. I'm angry at a man I've never met. Get in line." "What did you do?" "I signed the apartment over to him and moved back in with Trevor for 4 months. I lost 12 pounds. I didn't work. I didn't take calls. My assistant Priya, God bless Priya, she ran the company for me for 3 months, just held it together. When I came back to work, she had a stack of paperwork on my desk and a note that said, 'Welcome back. Fire the accountant. He's been stealing.'" Had he? He had. I fired him that afternoon. And I think that was the moment I started to come back. Not a therapist moment, not a family moment, just signing a termination letter with a Sharpie because Priya told me to. Where is he now, Michael? Married. 2 kids, lives in Denver. I have him blocked on everything. Good. He tried to reach out about a year after the wedding was canceled. He sent me this long email about how he'd been processing his grief and he hoped we could be friends. I forwarded it to Trevor and asked him what to say. And Trevor wrote back a single line. He said, "Don't write to him. Let him wonder about you until he dies." I like Trevor more every time you talk about him. Everyone does. And that's the voice you hear when you get scared. Yeah, that's the voice. 6 weeks out from the wedding. I can't be a caretaker. Ava, I need to be really clear about something. Okay, you don't need a caretaker. And even if you did, even if you were someone who did, that would be a thing I would figure out how to do if I loved the person it was for. Michael was a coward. That's not me making you feel better. That's me stating a fact. He was a coward. He made a promise in front of 100 people, and he walked out 6 weeks before the door. That is cowardice. That's not processing. That's not being able to do it. That's running away. And I am not going to run away from you. Evan. I might screw up in other ways. I might say the wrong thing. I might be distracted because of Emma. I might get overwhelmed. I might need space sometimes. But I am not going to run. I am telling you that now while we still barely know each other because I think you need to hear someone say it without a ring on your finger. Ava had gone very still. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't wiping them this time. She was just letting them be wet. You shouldn't make promises you can't keep, she said softly. That's not a promise I can't keep. Evan. It's not Ava. I know the difference. I made a vow to a woman once, and I kept it right up to the last breath she took. I'm not saying that to brag or to wave my dead wife in your face. I'm saying it because I know what I'm capable of. And I'm telling you running from hard things is not on the list. I don't know what to do with what you just said. You don't have to do anything with it. You can put it in a drawer and look at it in 6 months if you want. I might do that. Okay. Ava reached for her water glass. Her hand was shaking again. This is a lot, she said, for a first date. It really is. Normal people talk about their jobs on first dates. We already covered that. And their favorite restaurants. What's your favorite restaurant? There's a Thai place on Pearl Street called Aloy. Done. That's our second date. Evan. What? You just planned a second date. Out loud, like it was nothing. Was I not supposed to? I don't know. Ava, do you want a second date? Yes. Was that hard? Yes. Why? Because every time I say yes to something I flinch because I'm waiting for the part where it gets taken away. Evan reached across the table. He took her hand again more firmly this time. He held it. I'm not taking it away, he said. You might not mean to. I know, but I'm not going to. And the only way I can prove that to you is to keep showing up. So, Wednesday, Aloy, on Pearl Street, 7 o'clock. Wednesday. Yes. I have a board meeting Wednesday. Thursday. Thursday works. Thursday, 7 o'clock. Aloy, I'll pick you up. I'll drive. I have an adapted van. It's easier. Then I'll come to you. Evan, you don't know where I live. I know. You haven't told me yet. But you're going to. She let out a little huff of laughter that was mostly air. You're really not going to let me have any moats, are you? No. Good. They sat there for a minute, hands joined across the table, the cake mostly gone, the cafe quieter than it had been when they started. Outside, a street light had come on. A man walked past the window with a small dog on a leash. Evan? Yeah. I need to tell you something, and I need you to not get weird about it. Okay. I am having a very good time. Is that the weird thing? Because that's not weird. It's weird for me, Evan. Oh. I had built this whole thing in my head about what tonight was going to be, and none of it has happened. And I am sitting here holding a stranger's hand, and I have told him more about my life in 90 minutes than I've told 3 therapists combined, and I don't know what to do with that. You don't have to do anything with that either. You keep saying that. I keep meaning it, Ava. You don't have to perform tonight. Not for me, not for Lauren, not for anyone. We can just sit here and be two broken people eating cake. That's enough. That's more than enough. God, stop. What? Stop being like that. Stop being you. I'm going to fall in love with you if you keep this up, and we've known each other for 2 hours. Evan stopped breathing for a second. Ava heard what she said a half-second later. Her eyes went enormous. I didn't. That's a figure of speech. That's an American figure of speech. That doesn't mean anything. That's like saying, I could eat a horse. That's Ava. What? Breathe. I'm breathing. Are you, though? Shut up. It's okay. It's not okay. I just said the L word on a first date. This is what Trevor calls a code red. I am going to drive myself into a canyon tonight. Ava. She stopped. Evan squeezed her hand, and he leaned across the table just a little, and his voice dropped low enough that the waitress couldn't have heard him if she'd tried. I'm going to tell you something, he said, and I need you to hear it. Okay. Okay. I have not felt my heart beat like this in 5 years. She stared at him. I felt it when you rolled through that door. I felt it when you told me to leave. I felt it when you asked me if I still wanted to date you. I am feeling it right now. And I don't know what any of that means yet, and I'm not asking you to know either. But something is happening here, Ava. And I am not going to pretend it isn't just because the clock says we only met 2 hours ago. Evan, so you can say whatever figures of speech you want. You can say any of them. I'm not going to hold them against you, okay? Okay. Okay. She nodded slowly, and she did not let go of his hand. The waitress came by with the check, and Evan paid it without looking, and told her to keep the change. Ava did not protest. She did not try to split it. She did not tell him she could pay for her own dinner. She just watched him hand over his card like it was the most ordinary thing in the world, and for the first time all night, she let it be ordinary. When the waitress was gone, Ava took a deep breath. Okay, she said. Okay, I think we should leave before I say something else insane. We can leave. I want you to walk me to my van. I was going to anyway. I know. I just wanted to say it out loud so you couldn't say no. Ava? Yeah. I wasn't going to say no. She nodded. She put her coat on. She had finally taken it off sometime during the story about Princess Banana, and Evan had not even noticed when. He stood up. She pushed back from the table. He did not try to help her. He did not reach for her handles. He just walked with her at her pace toward the door. The bell above the door jingled as they stepped out into the cold. Ava's van was parked 3 spaces down from Evan's truck. It was a white converted Honda Odyssey, and she had a fob in her pocket that unlocked it automatically and deployed a side ramp that slid out with a soft, mechanical hum. Evan watched it happen without commenting on it, because he had already figured out that this was one of the things where she didn't want commentary. Halfway to the van, she stopped. Evan. Yeah. Before I get in, I want to tell you something. And I want to tell you out here, not in there. Because if I tell you in there, I'll start crying, and it'll be a whole thing. Okay. She turned her chair to face him. He crouched down, not all the way, just enough to be more at her eye level, and he kept his hands on his knees so he wasn't looming. Thank you, she said. For what? For not leaving. Ava, that was never going to happen. You don't know that. I do, though. Evan, when I walked in, you didn't know me. You had every reason to want to go home, and I went out of my way to give you an exit. And you didn't take it. And I don't know how to thank you for that without sounding like the thing I hate most. Like what? Like I'm grateful you were a decent human being. Like basic decency is something remarkable. That's the whole trap, you know. That's the whole thing I've been trying to avoid. The minute I start thanking you for being a good person, I'm back in the place where I'm the sad wheelchair girl who's lucky anybody showed up. And I am not that person. I am not going to be that person. I know. Then don't make me thank you. I won't. Good. Ava. Yeah. Can I tell you what I'm thanking you for? Don't? You made me come back online tonight. She went still. I didn't know I was offline, Evan said, until I sat down across from you. I've been going through the motions for 5 years. I've been running a good imitation of Evan Carter. And nobody noticed Ava. Not even my sister, and she sees me every week. Not even my daughter, and she's the smartest person in my house. Nobody noticed. And then you came in, and you yelled at me before I could even finish my name, and I felt my own heart for the first time in years. So if you're going to thank me for staying, then I'm going to thank you for that. Deal. That's not fair. Deal. Deal. She reached up. Her hand found his cheek. She held it there for maybe 2 seconds, the cold of her fingers against his skin, and then she let go. Okay, she said. I'm going to go, before I do something stupid. Okay. Text me when you get home. I will. And tell Emma I said hi. Tell her thank you for the phone call. Tell her I'm looking forward to meeting her. Someday, when you think it's right. She'll love you. Don't say that yet. She already loves you. I told her the name of the coffee shop, and she looked it up on her iPad, and she's been tracking us on Google Maps for 2 hours. Evan, I am not joking. Your 8-year-old is stalking us. She's a very thorough child. I'm going to get in the van before this gets worse. Okay. She turned her chair toward the ramp and started to roll forward, and then she stopped again, and she turned halfway back. Thursday, she said. Thursday, 7. I'll text you my address. I'll be there. She nodded. She rolled up the ramp. The door slid closed behind her. A minute later, the engine started. She backed out of the space, and as she passed him, she rolled her window down and she leaned out. Don't be weird, Evan. Your boss said the same thing. She's a wise woman. And then she was gone. Evan stood in the parking lot for about 90 seconds after her taillights disappeared. He didn't walk to his truck. He didn't check his phone. He just stood there in the October cold with his hands in his jacket pockets and a feeling in his chest that he hadn't had since before the funeral. The feeling was that he was a person who was going to do something tomorrow, not survive tomorrow, not get through tomorrow, do something. He walked to his truck. He got in. He sat there for a minute with the keys in his hand. And then he picked up his phone and he called his sister. Lauren picked up on the second ring. Well, hi. Evan, I swear to God, if you say it was fine, I am going to drive over there and... It wasn't fine. It wasn't. It was... He stopped. He didn't have a word for what it had been. Evan, are you okay? Yeah. You don't sound okay. I'm Lauren. I'm really okay. I don't know what I am. I'm sitting in my truck. I'm crying apparently. I didn't notice. Oh my God. She's Lauren. She's extraordinary. There was a long, stunned silence on the other end of the line. Then Lauren very quietly said, "Hold on a second." He heard her move, heard a door close, heard the sounds of Emma's voice in the background fade out. When Lauren came back on, her voice was softer. Tell me. She almost didn't come. I know, she told me. She texted me from the parking lot. She texted you. She was going to leave. I told her Ava. Please just give him 20 minutes if it's a disaster. I will personally eat crow, but please just sit down. She didn't answer me. I assumed she'd left. She tried to kick me out the second she sat down. She what? She said she was going to save me the trouble. She tried to dump me before I even ordered. Oh my God. Oh my God, that is so Ava. I didn't let her. You didn't let her. No. Another silence. Evan? Yeah. Are you crying? I mean, yeah, apparently. Yes. Oh, honey. We're having dinner Thursday. Aloy. On Pearl. Evan Carter. What? You haven't asked a woman to dinner in 5 years. I know. You haven't. You've barely left the house for anything that isn't work or Emma. I know Lauren. Evan, what happened at that coffee shop? I don't know. Something happened. I can't explain it. She came in and she was so angry and so scared, and I just didn't want her to leave. And then we talked, and I told her about Sarah. I told her about the 7 weeks, Lauren. I haven't said that out loud to anyone since the funeral. Oh, Evan. I ate cake. I ate chocolate cake. When was the last time I ate chocolate cake? Evan, you're not making sense. I know, I'm sorry. Where's Emma? She's in the living room. She's building a fort. She's planning to sleep in it. Can I talk to her? Of course. Hang on. He heard his sister call his daughter's name. He heard the small running footsteps. He heard the fumble of the phone changing hands, and then his daughter's voice. Daddy. Hey, Bug. Where are you? Are you coming home? I'm in the truck. I'm going to come get you in the morning like we planned. Daddy, why do you sound weird? I'm not weird. You sound weird. I'm just tired, Emma. Was she mean to you? Emma. Because if she was mean to you, I'm not going to like her. She wasn't mean to me. Pinky promise. I can't pinky promise over the phone, Bug. You can. You just have to do it in your heart. Then I pinky promise in my heart. She wasn't mean to me. Did you tell her about the cursive? I didn't get to the cursive. Sorry. Daddy? I know, I'm sorry. I'll tell her next time. There was a pause. Is there a next time? Evan closed his eyes. He pressed the phone against his ear. Yes, Bug. There's a next time. Oh. Is that okay? Yeah. You sure? Daddy? What? I told you not to be weird. I'm allowed to be a little weird. I'm 8. Fair enough. Is she nice? Yeah. She's nice. Is she smart? Very smart. Smarter than me, I think. Good. Mommy was smarter than you too. Evan made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. He pressed his forehead against the steering wheel. Yeah, Bug, she was. Daddy. Yeah. Are you crying? A little? Good crying or bad crying? Good. Okay. I'm going to go finish my fort. Aunt Lauren said I could have a second popcorn. Bye. Emma. But she was already gone. He heard her yelling something in the background about blankets. He heard Lauren laughing. A minute later, Lauren came back on the line. She handed me the phone and walked off. Yeah. She's going to run the world someday. I know. Evan, go home. Eat something that isn't a coffee shop sandwich. Sleep. And text Ava because she is definitely also sitting in her driveway right now, wondering if you're going to ghost her. I already told her I'd text when I got home. Good man. Lauren? Yeah. Thank you. Don't. I mean it. I said don't. If you thank me, I'm going to cry, and I have a house full of 8-year-olds, and I can't cry right now. Drive safe. Call me tomorrow. She hung up. Evan sat in the truck for another minute. Then he started the engine, and he drove home. The drive took 23 minutes. He did not turn on the radio. He rolled the window down a crack so the cold air would keep him awake. He thought about Ava's face when she laughed. He thought about her hand on his cheek. He thought about Emma in her fort, with her second popcorn waiting for a dad who was maybe coming back online. He pulled into his driveway at 10:34 p.m. He sat in the driveway for another minute. Then he took out his phone. He typed, "Made it home." He looked at it for a second. He deleted it. He tried again. Made it home. I had a really good time tonight. He looked at it again. He deleted that too. He called her. She picked up on the first ring. Evan. Hi. I thought you were going to text. I was. Then I didn't know what to say. So you called instead. Apparently. Evan, it's 11 o'clock at night. I know. Nobody calls anybody at 11 o'clock at night unless something is wrong. Nothing's wrong. Then why are you calling me? He took a breath. Because I didn't want the night to end yet. There was a silence on the other end of the phone. Oh, she said quietly. Is that okay? I can hang up. I'll text. No, it's okay. Are you home? I'm in my driveway. Still. Yeah. How long have you been in your driveway? 40 minutes. Ava. Don't start. What have you been doing for 40 minutes? I have been having a full emotional episode in the front seat of my van. Evan, that is what I have been doing for 40 minutes. I have cried 3 separate times. I have called Trevor and hung up on him twice before he could answer. I have considered writing you an email. An email. What am I, 70? An email. Shut up. What was the email going to say? I don't know. I didn't write it. That's the whole problem. He laughed quietly and he leaned his head back against the seat. Ava. Yeah. Go inside. I will. Go inside now. I'm not hanging up. Go inside while I'm on the phone with you. I'm going to go inside too. You're bossy all of a sudden. I had cake, I'm powerful now. Oh my God. He got out of the truck. He heard her van door open on the other end of the line. He heard the sound of her ramp extending, the whir of it, the little metallic settle at the end. He walked up his own driveway. He let himself into his dark house. He did not turn on the lights. Are you inside? He asked. Almost. Hold on. He heard the whir reverse. He heard her door slide closed. He heard the sound of a different door, a house door unlocking and opening. He heard her wheels on a wood floor. I'm inside, she said. Good. Now what? I don't know. I didn't plan that far. You called me at 11 p.m. with no plan. Seems like. This is what I get for dating an engineer. We're dating. Evan. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not pushing. You said it first. I said we were dating. You said, this is what I get for dating an engineer. That is also a figure of speech. Ava. I swear if you call me out on one more figure of speech tonight, I am going to... I'm not calling you out. I'm just noting. For the record. You are a menace. I've been told. She was laughing. He could hear her moving around her kitchen. He could hear a cabinet open and close. He could hear a kettle being set on a burner. Are you making tea? He asked. Yes, don't judge me. I'm not. I think it's sweet. I am 32 years old, and I make tea when I'm having feelings. This is my life now. There are worse lives. I suppose. He sat down on his couch in the dark. He could see the streetlight through the living room window. He could see the outline of Emma's abandoned art project on the coffee table, a half-finished drawing of what he was pretty sure was a dragon. He reached over and turned on a lamp. Ava. Yeah, I want to tell you something. Oh God. What? It's not bad. Every time you say, I want to tell you something, my soul leaves my body. Just listen. Fine. I haven't been in my own house like in my own house present since Sarah died. What do you mean? I mean, I have been living here for 5 years, and I have not been here. I walk through it like a ghost. I sleep on the couch half the time because the bed is too big. I eat at the counter instead of the table. I sat down just now on the couch and I turned the lamp on, and I thought this is my house. And then I realized that was a new thought. There was a long silence on her end. Evan? Yeah. Are you telling me I made you sit on your own couch? I think I'm telling you that, yeah. Evan? Yeah. I'm going to cry again. Please don't. You've done it enough tonight. You don't get to tell me when to cry, Evan Carter. Fair. I'm going to cry, and it's going to be your fault. Okay. Evan. Yeah. Thursday feels very far away. He closed his eyes. He smiled in the dark in his living room on his own couch for the first time in 5 years. I know, he said, it does. Thursday came slower than any 4 days in Evan's adult life. He woke up Monday morning with a text from Ava that said, I told Trevor. He wants your license plate number. I told him no. He got it anyway. Please don't run any red lights this week. He laughed out loud in the kitchen, and Emma, who was standing on a chair trying to reach the cereal, turned around and stared at him like he was a stranger. Daddy? What bug? You laughed. Yeah. You don't laugh. I laugh. Not like that. He lifted her down from the chair. He got the cereal himself. He poured her a bowl. He stood across the counter from her while she ate, and he watched her eat, and he realized she was right. He didn't laugh like that anymore. He hadn't, in a long time. Emma. Yeah. I want to tell you about the woman I had dinner with. She put her spoon down immediately. Her name is Ava. She's really smart. She runs her own company. She uses a wheelchair because she was in a car accident a few years ago. She's very funny. I think you'd like her. I'd like you to meet her someday soon. Not this week, but soon, if that's okay with you. Emma chewed slowly, watching him. Is she going to be my new mom? No bug. Nobody is going to be your new mom. You already have a mom. Your mom is always going to be your mom. Okay. Ava is just Ava. She's a person I like. A person I want you to know. That's all. For right now. Emma nodded. She picked her spoon back up. Daddy? Yeah. Does she know about the cursive? I will tell her about the cursive, I promise. Pinky promise. Pinky promise. They hooked pinkies over the counter. He made a mental note to text Ava later with a full explanation of the cursive situation. He would not survive the day without doing it. Thursday night at 6:55, Evan stood on the front step of a single-story house on the north side of Boulder, holding a bouquet of sunflowers that he had, after considerable internal debate, decided were less scary than roses. The porch light was on. The ramp beside the porch steps was clean and recently swept. The door opened. Ava was wearing a dark green dress, and she had put her hair down, and she looked at him holding the sunflowers, and she actually burst out laughing. Oh no. What? I have a thing about sunflowers. What kind of thing? The good kind. They're my favorite. Lauren did not tell you. Lauren did not tell me. Evan. What? You guessed my favorite flower. I didn't guess. You guessed my favorite flower. Ava. Get in here before I cry on my own doorstep. Dinner at Aloy was easier than the coffee had been. Not easy, they were both still learning the shape of each other, but easier. They ordered too much food. Ava made him try a green curry so spicy his eyes watered, and she laughed at him, and she gave him her iced tea without being asked. He told her about the cursive. He told her about Princess Banana. He told her about the toothbrush under the bathroom sink, and she did not say he should throw it out, and she did not say he should keep it either. She just listened and nodded, and when he was done, she said, I'm glad it's still there. They saw each other twice that week, and 3 times the next. Ava came to his house for the first time on a Sunday, and Evan did not realize until the morning of that Sunday that his whole house was, in a word, inaccessible. The living room was fine. The kitchen had an island she couldn't pull up to. The only bathroom on the main floor had a tiny door and a step down into the shower. He called her at 8 in the morning. My house is a disaster. Evan, I mean for you. For a wheelchair. I haven't thought about any of this. I'm a bad person. You are not a bad person. You are a person whose house was built in 1974. I'm going to call a contractor on Monday. Evan, you are not renovating your house because I am coming over for one afternoon. Ava. Stop it. Stop it right now. I will use my bathroom before I leave. I have been doing this for 4 years. I have a whole system. Do not renovate your house for me. What if, Evan? What if it's not for one afternoon? A silence. What do you mean? I mean, what if you come over more than once? What if you come over a lot? What if it's something, Ava? What if this is something? I'm not asking you to move in. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just asking if I can make my house so that if the answer to that question is yes, someday we've already got that out of the way. A longer silence. You can't just say things like that to me before breakfast, Evan. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I'm not sorry. Call the contractor. Okay. Call him Monday. Okay. But I am still coming over today, and we are still going to have a disaster of an afternoon, and it's going to be fine. Okay. Okay. It was fine. Emma opened the door when she arrived because Evan was still pulling the lasagna out of the oven, and Ava rolled into the foyer, and Emma said with her hands on her hips, "You're Ava." "I'm Ava. You're Emma." "Yes." "Your dad talks about you a lot." "I know. He's not subtle." Ava burst out laughing. Evan in the kitchen closed his eyes and offered a silent prayer of gratitude for an 8-year-old who knew how to carry a room. Emma sat next to Ava on the couch through the whole afternoon. She showed her the drawing of the dragon. She showed her the cursive. She asked questions that no adult would have asked, because no adult would have had the nerve. Did it hurt? When did it happen? Could she walk at all? What did her van look like? Inside, was the chair expensive? Could Emma try it? Ava answered every single question. She did not flinch once. She did not look at Evan for help. When Emma asked to try the chair, Ava lifted herself into an armchair beside the couch and let Emma spin around the living room in it for 20 minutes. That night, after Ava had gone home, Emma climbed into Evan's lap on the couch. She was getting too big to climb into his lap, but she did it anyway. "Daddy." "Yeah, Bug." "She's really cool." "I know." "Is she going to keep coming over?" "I think so, if you want her to." "Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Daddy." "Yeah. She's really sad." Underneath. Evan went very still. "What do you mean, Bug?" "She laughs a lot, but her eyes are sad. I can tell. You have the same eyes." Evan kissed the top of his daughter's head. He held her for a long time. "I know, sweetheart. Are you going to fix it?" "I don't know if I can fix it, but I'm going to try." "Okay." Emma. "Yeah. I love you very much." "I love you too. Can we have ice cream?" The contractor came on Tuesday. By the end of the month, there was a new ramp at the back door, a wider bathroom doorway, a roll-in shower. The kitchen island was a longer project, and Ava put her foot down. Actually said the words, "Put my foot down," daring him to say anything about not doing the kitchen until the new year. The first time she met Trevor was in early December. It was at a family dinner at Ava's parents' house, and Evan had been told at length that this was a formal evaluation, and that he should not try to charm anybody, and that he should definitely not try to make Trevor laugh. Evan made Trevor laugh within the first 10 minutes by telling him the story of Emma calling the coffee shop. Trevor laughed so hard he choked on a dinner roll. Ava's mother had to hit him on the back. Ava watched it happen with the expression of a woman whose entire strategic plan had just caught fire in front of her. After dinner, Trevor cornered Evan in the kitchen. "You're not what I expected." "Sorry. Don't apologize. I expected a piece of crap. You are not a piece of crap." "Thank you." "That is the highest compliment I give Evan. Don't waste it." "Okay?" "She's been through enough." "I know." "I don't care what you think you know. I'm telling you what I know. She has been through enough. She does not have room for another one." "I'm not going to be another one." "Men say that. I'm aware." "Look at me, Evan." Evan looked. Trevor was 6'3", built like a man who pulled people out of burning buildings for a living because he did, and he had the same green eyes as his sister, and he was not smiling. "If you hurt her," Trevor said, "I'm not going to do anything dramatic. I'm not going to show up at your house. I'm not going to come to your work. I am going to do something much worse. I am going to do nothing. I am going to never speak to you again. And I am going to make sure Ava never speaks to you again, and you are going to spend the rest of your life knowing that the best thing that ever walked into your coffee shop walked right back out of it. Are we clear?" "We're clear." "Good." Trevor broke into a smile. "Now get me another beer and tell me about your 8-year-old, because Ava says she's a menace, and I need confirmation." Christmas came. Emma made Ava a card that had an entire page of cursive on it. Ava cried. Evan cried. Emma looked at both of them like they were children, which in fairness at that moment they sort of were. By February, Ava was keeping a toothbrush in the upstairs bathroom at Evan's house. Not moved in, just present. The toothbrush under the main floor sink was still there. Evan had not asked her about it, and she had not asked him. They had an understanding. In March, on a Saturday afternoon, Evan and Ava and Emma went to a park in downtown Boulder. It was the first warm day of the year, the kind where Colorado tricks everybody into thinking winter is over a month before it actually is. The park was crowded. Kids on scooters, dogs on leashes, a man selling ice cream out of a bike cart. Emma ran ahead toward a playground, and Evan and Ava walked together along the path. It happened because a woman stared. She was walking the other direction in her 40s, with a pair of Nordic poles and a small terrier. She looked at Ava. Then she looked at Evan. Then back at Ava. Then at Evan. Then, as she passed them, she gave Evan a small, sad smile. The kind that people who think they are being kind give, the kind that said, "What a good man you are." Evan felt Ava go rigid next to him. He stopped walking. She kept rolling for 2 more strokes, and then she stopped too. "Ava, it's fine. It's not fine." "Evan, please. You saw that." "I see it every day." She looked at me like I was a saint. "Evan, let it go. Please. Today was good. Today is still good. I don't want to make a scene. I'm not making a scene. I just want you to know that I saw it too. I saw her look at you, and I saw her look at me. And I want you to know that if I ever in my entire life catch myself looking at somebody the way she looked at me, like I'm doing something remarkable, just by being here, I want you to punch me in the face. I want you to knock me down. Do you understand?" Ava stared at him for a long moment. "I'm not going to punch you in the face, Evan. Okay, figuratively. But I heard you. Okay. Emma is watching us." He looked. Emma was on top of the jungle gym watching them with a pair of binoculars she had gotten for her birthday. She waved. Ava waved back. And then, without saying anything, she reached out. She took his hand. Right there in the middle of the park in broad daylight, with people walking past in both directions, with a woman jogging by, pushing a stroller with Emma watching through toy binoculars. Ava took his hand, and she held it. And she rolled forward, and he walked beside her, and they did not let go. She had, in 7 months of dating, never once reached for his hand first in a public place. He had always been the one to reach. She had always had a reason to keep her hands on her wheels, or in her lap, or around a coffee cup. She had never initiated, not in public, not where anybody could see. She did it now. He did not comment on it. He did not squeeze her hand and look at her meaningfully. He just walked with her at her pace, and he let her hand stay in his, and he thought about the woman in the coffee shop 8 months ago, who had slammed her palm on the table and yelled at him to leave. "Ava." "Yeah. I love you." She stopped rolling. He stopped walking. She looked up at him. "You can't just say that," she said. "You can't just say that out of nowhere in a park." "I know." "Evan, I know. I haven't said that to anybody in 4 years. You don't have to say it back." "Evan, Ava, I mean that. I am not keeping score. I'm not waiting on it. I have been sitting on that for weeks, and I didn't want to say it in a bed or at dinner or in the middle of something. I wanted to say it on a regular afternoon in a park, while Emma watched us through binoculars, because that is the whole point. That's the whole thing. It's a regular afternoon. And I love you." Her eyes filled. "God damn it, Evan." "I know. I love you too." "I know. You know. I'm just saying it back." "You are such a menace." "I know. Come here." He bent down. She took his face in both her hands. She kissed him. It was not their first kiss. Their first kiss had been in her kitchen in November over leftover pasta. But it was the first time she had kissed him without warning in public, with her hands on his face and her eyes closed, and no moat at all. When she let him go, Evan looked up and Emma on top of the jungle gym had put down her binoculars. She was pumping both fists in the air like she had just won the World Series. Ava saw it too. She started laughing, and then she was crying, and then she was laughing again, and Evan was laughing, and Emma was running toward them across the playground full speed, And when Emma got there, she threw herself into Ava's lap without asking. And Ava caught her, and Ava held her. And for one long moment, the three of them were a shape in the middle of a boulder park that had not existed anywhere in the world a year ago. They went for ice cream. Emma got chocolate. Ava got strawberry. Evan got vanilla. And Emma told him he was boring, and Ava agreed, and Evan accepted the charges. They sat on a bench. Emma sat between them. Emma ate ice cream off her father's cone, and off Ava's cone, and off her own cone, because she was 8, and the rules about ice cream at 8 are different. A man walked past with a little boy on his shoulders. The little boy waved. Emma waved back. The man nodded at Evan, a nod between fathers, and Ava did not tense up, and Evan did not tense up, and nobody gave them the sad smile, and the sun was warm, and the ice cream was cold, and the world kept turning. Ava looked at Evan over the top of Emma's head. Evan, yeah. I want to tell you what I was going to put in that email. What email? The one I was going to write you in the driveway the night of the coffee shop. The email I said I didn't write. Oh. I was going to write, "Thank you for not leaving." Ava. That was it. That was the whole email. I had been sitting there for 40 minutes, and all I could come up with was 4 words. That was the email. That's a good email. It was a short email. 4 words is plenty. Evan? Yeah. I'm glad I didn't send it. Why? Because I get to say it to your face now, a lot. For a long time, I hope. You do. I do what? You get to say it, for a long time, however long you want. Emma between them, with chocolate ice cream on her chin, looked up at both of them. You guys are being weird again. Ava laughed. Evan laughed. Ava leaned over and kissed the top of Emma's head, and Emma wrinkled her nose, and Evan looked at the two of them, the woman he loved, and the daughter he had raised through the dark years, and he felt for the first time since he had buried his wife that the whole shape of his life had finally come back together. He had walked into that coffee shop 8 months ago, a ghost. He had walked out a man, and the woman who had pulled him back into the land of the living was sitting beside him on a bench in a park, holding his daughter eating a strawberry ice cream cone, and she was his and he was hers, and nothing. Not the accident that took her legs, not the cancer that took his wife, not the cowardice of men who had left before, not the pitying stares of strangers, not the years of silence that had almost swallowed them both. None of it was going to take this away. They had found each other, and they were going to stay.